guys, Kimi here. So my Five Giants map review I did back in January got some great feedback. I've been on the prowl for another one to do. Originally I was going to make my second review on Ready As I'll Ever Be, but I didn't want to skip over this one, and I figure, well, this will be good practice because what I've seen from the map parts on Ready As I'll Ever Be, it'll be a doozy. And I'm doing this one much differently from Five Giants. I did Five Giants on a whim with a poorly revised script in one day. This one, I'll be a lot more intricate in my review. The way I'm going to do this is I'll review the thumbnail art, the overall quality of the map, and how it portrays the story in each individual part or artist. And let's face it, I'm still an amateur animator. I may not have much to offer with some people because I'm not an expert, and I'll try to find some piece of criticism for each one, even if it's some little nitpick like, yeah, you forgot to fill in that one pixel. Starting with the thumbnail, I apologize for the fuzziness of the image. It was a screenshot I took. For one thing, I love the color palette. I like that it goes with the theme of the song, which clearly has orange in the title, but it goes well with Blue Star. Blue and orange are opposites on the color wheel, meaning that they're complementary colors. I like that the artist of the thumbnail really emphasized the blue in Blue Star, which is okay because she's a fictional character in a fictional world. The shading on Blue Star is well placed from where the sunlight is coming from, and again I'll be nitpicking. The only thing I can justify criticizing are the tree roots. The image doesn't show the rest of the tree, but the roots seem a bit small to be holding up that tree. Then again, I guess they could be buried in the ground, making them appear smaller than they actually are. In general, the thumbnail gives me high hopes for the rest of the map, and the map did not disappoint. I'll admit I didn't stay on top of watching the parts as they came out like I did with Five Giants, but the occasional ones I saw impressed me. Granted, it's not hard to impress me. The map shows Blue Star's life in detail, her childhood with Snowfur and later losing Snowfur, falling in love with Oakheart, her giving up her kits, taking Fireheart into ThunderClan, and the heroic end to her life. I believe if I were to show this to someone who hasn't been introduced to Warriors, they would both enjoy it and understand Blue Star's story. At the very least, they would take pleasure in the use of warm colors and the overall smooth animation. Need to get a drink. Charminq did the intro, which was a simple scene with a bluish-green river, staying true to the color palette, and a pan up to Blue Star lying in the grass. The colors are blended well. I like the contrast between the river, the grass, and then Blue Star's figure. What confused me is that it kind of stopped where it shouldn't have. I feel like they should have panned to show Blue Star entirely for maybe a second, instead of just showing a small portion of her before switching to Starchop's part. Sorry if I pronounced some of these names wrong. It's a really jarring transition. I really enjoyed the background change. Starchop seems to be putting emphasis on smaller parts of the animation, like the pebbles on the ground or the trees behind Bluefur. The animation of Blue Star, or Paw, or Fur, I'm not sure which suffix she goes by at this point, is smooth and matches the beat of the music. I believe that's Pine Star standing on the rock, or Sunstar. Either way, I like that the "I bet he works for the government" matches up to who I assume is the leader, sitting on top of the rock, the light shining around him. I have mixed feelings about the light. I like that it surrounds him like a halo, but it kind of throws you off the warm feeling you get from the rest of the map. If they tried making it a light yellow or orange, it may not be as off-putting. I do like the effect, though. Irresponsible's part is next. I really appreciate their style. It's simple, satirical, and pretty darn adorable. I'm still confused on whether they are apprentices or warriors or not, but this part makes me think they're paws rather than warriors, which suits the flow of the map of Blue Star going from kit to paw to fur to star. If I'm right, that is, I don't know. The lip sync is a bit stiff, but it doesn't lag behind or go ahead of the song lyrics. It matches perfectly. In the scene at the show that shows Bluefur straight on, I noticed one ear is bigger than the other. If they shrunk the size of the ear on the right, it would be a little more anatomically correct and not as lopsided. Walter Stotch is making Microsoft Word hate me right now. I'm getting red lines everywhere. But that's how YouTube is. I really enjoy their style, the shading, the deep lines. They don't have actual animation in their part. They have really heavy smooth tweening. The camera pan where Snowfur seems angry at Blue Star emphasizes the mood. The details in the last scene showing Bluefur's eyes is really eye-catching. Get it? Eye-catching? Anyway, the criticism I have for this is that Blue Star has this beauty mark on her cheek. She doesn't really have this in any of the other parts. Was that originally part of the design, or was that a choice the artist made to add? Again, with Prismistic, they have a lot of style on their part. I like the slow movement. They're never completely still, which is kind of like an organism in real life. Unless the animal or person is dead, there will always be some movement to them, like breathing, twitching, etc. Prismistic really exaggerated it, which is alright. The background for this part, however, kind of clashes with the previous parts. Irresponsible kind of added green bushes in their part, which I had some small quarrel with but didn't really touch on. Compared to Walter's part, wedged in between them, they have some color straying from the palette. I didn't see Charminq's rules on the palette, or like how strict they are, but either way, it was kind of a drastic change in the scenery compared to previous parts. And I also know that this is a part of their style, but their heads are extremely disproportional to the rest of the body. Like, they have big heads and little necks. It's a little distracting. Other than that, I think the animation is pretty smooth, and I like how the characters interact with each other. Next is Rat and Maida's part. Again, I'm not sure how strict the palette was. Whatever the case, I love the colors. I've appreciated the style where none of the colors actually blend together in the background, that they're all just kind of their own separate sort of thing, if that makes any sense. For some reason, it brings back childhood memories. Really, the only thing that comes to mind, criticism-wise, is the head turn Blue Star does. I learned from one of my favorite animators that when a character turns their head, they follow a sort of arc, and the nose does dip down a little bit, but that's still a little less fluid movement. King Skyless put a whole bunch of effort into their backgrounds for this, and I like the shading covers Oakheart's face and front side, which is faced away from the sun. I also like Blue Star's expression. She's like, "You bully, how dare." Something that they may want to work on is the face size compared to the rest of the head. It's kind of small. Sorry, I know that's a really nitpickish thing to say. I'm pretty amazed by these parts. And I like the transition between Skyless's and Cranberry's part. The happy atmosphere jumps right into Snowfur's death, where she's chasing the rogues, or whoever those cats are. It's been a while since I read Blue Star's Prophecy, across the street. I think that animation and tweening is really smooth. It matches the pace of the song. I like that slow yellow lighting effect as the car moves closer to them. I don't have much criticism except say that if Blue Star is facing away from the car, and it's lighting, then she should maybe be highlighted by yellow, and her face should be darker shaded because of the direction the light is coming from. I have a quick criticism for Firework Cat's part. I feel like Blue Star shouldn't have been smiling that brief moment before realizing what happened. I understand it may be out of sheer exhilaration, oh, jeez, that almost happened, of the near miss, but if anything, she should be terrified looking back to see if her sister is okay, which she's not. Rest in peace, Snowfur. I mean, look at that blood. I appreciate how Firework Cat draws bloody scenes like this. I also appreciate that Charminq times it well to the part that says he almost hit a buck. He almost hit a cat. No, he did hit a cat. He obliterated that cat. Anyway, King Skyless is up again, and another piece of criticism is that the change of the background between Firework Cat and Skyless's part is kind of jarring and straying from the palette again. I don't know that the strictness of the palette, but the switch between the orange to green makes it a little bit distracting. Other than that, their part really conveys the emotion of Thistleclaw's anger towards Blue Star. Again, they separated the parts nicely so that the content matches the song further for Blue Star's grief and guilt over her sister's death. Quick thing, I gave up just saying Blue Star every time. I don't know what suffix she has now, and the map says Blue Star, so she's just Blue Star her entire life. Shadowed King really did a good job. I just assume that's Thrushpelt showing Blue Star and Thrushpelt together. I like the lighting coming through the den, and especially the smooth lip sync. I think the part may benefit from those little light specks kind of moving, rather than staying still. It will look more natural, but otherwise I love the atmosphere and the contrast from Skyless's part. Kaleidoscopes does a really smooth lip sync in her part, and also the fact that the background is lighter than the previous part shows this slight change in mood. If it were me, though, I would have tried to have a little bit of consistency in the line art size. It's kind of wobbly, and at the same time, I don't know that there's I know that's their style and I can appreciate that. Oh, Thrush Pelt sliding into those DMs like, ooh, rejection. I like how simple this one is. It kind of makes it all the more interesting watching Ravelette's part before Charminq's because it's so mellow compared to the switch in song tempo. I like the smooth line art and the soft lighting and the simple movements Blue Star does. Sweet, sweet rejection. Charminq's part is really eye-catching, and I like that they make Ravelette's part flicker before cutting completely to their part. It's a pretty sweet editing touch. I like the fur movement, the lip sync, and the snow falling. All the animation in general is really pleasing to look at. Originally I was going to say that there's something distracting about the snow, but I think that's the point since this is supposed to be like a really heavy scene. Doodle dude with the 4 U's. I like the lip sync in their part. My biggest issue is Snowfur. She looks really fuzzy, and I know she's dead, but the edges being like that makes it kind of messy. Charminq had the opacity lowered on Snowfur. If Doodle stuck to that, it would be a little more smoother. Same goes for Mosskit. Still, I wonder what they used for the snow, whether they drew it by hand or had a generator of some sort. I really like it. And now I can definitely call her Blue Star because this is where they let Rusty join. I like the tweening in their part and how they keep just a flat shading. Not shading, like flat, just flat color. It's really simple, yet I know I can't duplicate it if I tried. The only advice I really have is the way he's twisting his paw there seems really unnatural for a cat. Sorry for the nitpicking. Here's Shadow King again. I feel like some of the colors they picked for the dogs, like the purple eyes, is a little unnatural and off-putting. I know I said earlier that this is like a fictional character, but it seems a bit distracting to me. I also noticed that the background doesn't move really as Blue Star is running. I appreciate the facial expressions and the way that the ground crumbles under Blue Star, and it really matches the song and the lyrics. Epic Becky really pays attention to the physics of water, I feel. I like the streaks of light in the river. I noticed Blue Star's face as it raises up to talk to Firestar. The movement is a little unnatural, like they kind of stretched it instead of redrawing the frames to raise her head. Tejsaurus, as the pace of the song slows down, matches their part by making it somber and slow. I really like that effect. I also really appreciate the camera panning following Blue Star's head, and the light passing in Blue Star's eyes really represents the last moments in the book. Her last moments. Their style also is adorable. I guess they don't have chins when you're looking straight at their face. I don't know, guys. I'm running out of ideas. Greaser Cat made a really sweet ending to this map. I love the careful shadings and the slow movements, and I'll be honest, I kind of cried first seeing this. One thing is that this cut on her arm wasn't there at the previous map parts. I don't know if it's something only she decided to do. Oh, they. I don't know. Didn't mean to do that. Only they decided to do.